So this was a unit from Wolfbox that was sent out to me to try out and test, and it actually came at a really good time because I've got a vehicle here that I need to get jump started and get back on the road again. It's got a bad cell in it, and if I don't run this vehicle every single day, a couple days later, I come out and it either barely cranks or doesn't crank at all. So in this situation today, I have a no crank on this van. I need to get jump started so I can get to work on Monday. Now this particular unit that Wolfbox sent out for me to try out and test is actually a 2000 amp model. I've got their 4000 amp already, and that's the one that I've currently got in my pickup truck, which I've had to use several times now on that vehicle with issues I had with it over the winter. And it's almost kind of comical how small this thing is compared to that 4000, yet this thing is rated at being able to start both my diesel truck as well as this van at the same time. When I first got this unit out of the box, the first thing I obviously noticed was just how small and cute it was, but it had all the same similar features that I'm used to seeing with Wolfbox and what they've sent me in the past. So this little unit's got a 12,000 milliamp hour battery, which is plenty to be able to jump start your vehicle multiple times before it needs to charge again. Just like most jump starters these days, it's also got a flashlight built into the end of it, as well as a couple of USB ports here as well. One of them is obviously to be able to charge the unit up when you need to recharge the battery, but you can also charge devices with this thing as well. So essentially you've got a power bank on you at all times in your vehicle if you ever had a phone or a tablet, something like that, go dead and you need to top that battery off. On this side here, you've also got another little dust boot, and that houses where your jump starter cables will go. So let's talk about those for a second. Now, everything Wolfbox has that I've seen so far has this same similar setup. You've got this little dongle here on the end that's going to plug into the unit. It's going to have a green and a red light to let you know if your cables are hooked up correctly or incorrectly, as well as a boost button. We'll go over those here in just a second. And then you get these clamps here as well. I really like the Wolfbox clamp. They've got a nice firm spring in them that really do hold well on the terminals on the battery. Now this particular set, the clamps are just a hair smaller than what I'm used to, but still, nonetheless, they'll work just fine for what we're gonna need this for today. So let's go ahead and get this thing plugged in here real fast. And then what I'm also gonna show you before we actually jump start this vehicle, I wanna show you how low the voltage is on the battery. So I brought out a multimeter with me, and we're gonna take a look at that and see what the voltage is before we actually hook up our jump starter. I've got my fluke meter here. I'll show you the screen. And I got that on both terminals now, and we're seeing basically just under 6 volts on the battery right now. That's not gonna get it done. So let me go ahead and take my fluke meter out of the way. We'll go ahead and hook up this little jump start box now. So it's pretty simple on the screen. You only got 2 buttons on the front, and one's your power button, and then one is your flashlight. And your flashlight here, you can see you got your steady on, your flash pattern, your SOS, and then off again. The Wolfbox jump starters, in my experience so far, have got some of the brightest lights that I've seen, of the ones that I've tested, which is a kind of a plus. Now, you don't necessarily need the brightest light out here. You're basically just trying to see what you're doing when you're actually hooking up your jump cables. I've got flashlights that I carry with me as well if I need any more light than that. But let's go ahead and get this thing plugged in. It's got 100% charge on it right now. I'm gonna go ahead and hook this thing up backwards first to see what it shows or does. So the black I'm gonna put on the red temporarily. And on the little dongle here I told you, it's showing reversed right now, so the red light is illuminated. Let me know that I need to swap those cables before I can actually jump start this vehicle. So I'll go ahead and swap those back around. And I really like how dummy proof they've made these units for everybody. So even if you don't have a lot of experience with something like this, pretty much anybody can do this. And these units are extremely handy. I mean, if you've got kids that are just getting on the road and learn how to drive, or if you've got kids that are off of college, these little jump starters make great gifts, or even just buy them, make them, throw them in the car with them. It's really gonna give them a peace of mind as well as you, knowing that they've got something they can get themselves back on the road. So I got this thing all set up now, ready to go. It's blinking at me saying correct. I am gonna go ahead and try to jump start this thing real quick without hitting that boost button, just to see if it'll do it. I don't think it's going to. I think I'm gonna have to hit the boost button, but nonetheless, I wanna show you the process here. So I'll come in here to the vehicle, I'll see if I can jump start it. I got nothing on the dash, no key on the dash as well. So let's go ahead and hit the boost button now. It's gonna click. Now my green light where it says correct is steady lit and not flashing. Still showing 100% on my jump starter pack. Let's go ahead and bump the key again and see if we get it to fire. Back to the key. I've got dash lights now, and crank it over. And just like that, we're up and running. Fired right up. Okay, so I got this thing shut back off now. Let's go ahead and take a look at this and see what the battery life looks like on this thing now. Now, I'm not surprised. I wasn't sure what it was going to show. Being that this is a digital battery gauge, we were at 100%. And with the battery being that low, how much charge it took, now my battery life is sitting at 76%. So basically, in a super low state like my vehicle was at the moment, you could probably get 3 to 4 jump starts out of this pack before you need to charge it again. But if you're just sitting at like 9 or 10 volts, then the vehicle's cranking, but it's just not turning over, then it's not gonna be as taxing on the battery. You should get a few more starts out of it than that. But that's a little run through on this little 2000 amp jump starter by Wolfbox. It's gonna cover most of your vehicles on the road these days. Now, obviously, if you've got a big diesel truck or something of that nature, you may wanna go ahead and invest and bump up to like one of those 3000 or 4000 amp models. that they've got available. That's what I keep in my truck. It's just a little bit more peace of mind, especially if I get in a situation where the battery is super dead and it's super cold outside. Maybe I try to get that thing started on a cold start. But other than that, this old 2,000 amp jump starter, I think will fit the bill for most people. It saves yourself a little bit of money. Just a little bit of room it takes up. You could throw this thing in the trunk or under a seat and you wouldn't even know it was there until the time comes that you need it. Other than that, that's all I've got for you in this little video. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. We'll catch you guys on the next one.